Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. I've been licensed to practice as a clinical psychologist in the state of California since 1974, and I like to say I've been licensed to walk upon this earth since 1941. And it's truly my pleasure to be in your presence, to have this opportunity to share with you the insights, lessons, and inspirations of a lifetime, with the intention of uplifting you and your loved ones for the rest of your lives. That's my intention. Truly it is. The title of today's presentation is What Every Woman Should Know About Men. What every woman should know about men. There was a lot of interest in the title. And I remember speaking with one of my patients. He's from Ethiopia. We talked, but I said, you know what, I think I'll give a lecture on that. That was last week. I said, I'm going to do that today. So that's where it came from. There are a lot of things that, as parents, we didn't tell our children to be looking for, both for men in choosing a woman and a woman in choosing a mate as well. First, let me start off by saying there are really a lot of good men. I see all the time with my patients hardworking, devoted fathers, sacrificing their lives, working hard to support the family. I see a lot of that. Faithful to the wives, faithful to the family. So I see a lot of really good family men. And not only good to their wives and children, but good to their mothers and fathers and siblings, very involved with their families. Now the question is, what percentage of the people you could say are good guys? And what is a good man? Well, in the study out with my patients, when I interviewed about 5 or 6 people, the average was about 40% of the women, of the 5 or 6 that I interviewed, said that, well, I think about 40% of the guys are good guys. I mean, 60% were not. And we didn't define what a good guy is. It went as low as 10% and as high as 75%, but the average was about 40%. Then my goddaughter Tracy interviewed 25 people, ages 35 to 70, and 46.72 they say of a percent would say men are good. So they say 47% of the men are good. So if you combine the two, let's say overall combining the two studies, say 45%. So women feel that about 45% of the guys are good guys. And some of that has to do with, did the guy cheat on you? Did he stay faithful? Was he abusive? Was he a drinker or a drug addict? Those are very often considerations when people say he's a good guy. It means he's not cheating, he's not an alcoholic, he's not abusive, and he's making a living, is carrying his own. If a person's doing that, often he gets the good guy rating. Often that'll get a good guy rating. Then, of course, on top of that, a woman may really like him and love him, but just because he has a good guy rating doesn't mean that it's the intimacy is maybe what a woman wants, the deep talking, the attention she needs. That's another story. But the guy can get a good guy rating just from those other factors. Not cheating, making a living, not an alcoholic or a drunk, not a drug addict, loyalty to the family. That's good guy rating right there. But love of my life ratings is another story. But we're not talking about love of my life. We're talking good guy, bad guy. So we're looking at women. I'm not saying women are right or wrong in this, but if you talk to women, it's the sample that we had was they think that, actually think there's a lot of bad guys out there, right? That's 55% that they're saying these are not good guys. 55% say these are not good guys. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. Now let's talk about the issues, what every woman should know about men. So first I want to definitely put it in perspective. One of the people that I interviewed about it, she had a lot of compassion for men. She sees the struggle, what they go through about their manhood and being able to protect their families, being able to make a livelihood, struggling to deal with their vulnerability. So I would say that what you need to know about men, and every woman should know, one thing right to begin with, men do not know how to deal with their vulnerability. They do not know how to deal with their vulnerability. Men are more prone to just dealing with things through getting angry or getting aloof, or certainly looking for a solution. Men are solution-oriented, look for solution, and usually cover things with anger or aloofness or just denial. It's an issue. So if a man feels hurt, it's going to be hard for him to say, I feel hurt my feelings. Feels humiliated, it's going to be hard for him to say, I feel humiliated. If he's jealous, he's more likely, if he feels jealous, he's not going to say, hey, I love you, I'm jealous when you talk to him so much. They're most likely not going to say that. He's probably going to say, why were you talking to that guy so much? Do you want to sleep with him? And go on with accusations and ranting and not be able to really talk about his vulnerability. This is the case, I think. If he needs more attention, he's highly unlikely to say, I just need more attention, I need you to spend more time with me. Probably not going to happen. With most men at this point, I mean, this is January 17, 2023. Men have come a long way, but still dealing with vulnerability. That's an issue. I know when I talk to my patients, if I say to a guy, I say to him, look, I'm your psychologist. I want you to really open up to me. You can tell me things you don't tell anybody else. He might start off with, well, same old, or, come on, you're a psychologist. It's not so. They say, well, I've been kind of stressed out. Yeah, I've been stressed out. Maybe work. Yeah, I'm stressed out about some work issues. Yeah, had COVID yesterday. We had COVID. I mean, it's not as easy. That's like that. Now, if I say to a woman, my female patient, I want you to confide in me, really talk to me what's going on so I can help you. She'll make sure the doors are closed, typically. Maybe go into a car or go into a closet. You'd be surprised how many people I've talked to have because mine are on these apps, shut the door of a closet and then really start talking to me. Yeah, my boyfriend has been really jealous. He accused me of doing something with this guy. He didn't do that. Yeah, and he's becoming really abusive verbally. He's saying these things. I feel so overwhelmed by life, by him, the responsibilities of the kids. It's really overwhelming. I feel he prefers his mother over me, and she doesn't like me. I mean, right off. I mean, it's not like pulling teeth. It's like boom, 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 right there. Hurt, jealous, and feel overwhelmed. A woman will go there. He's not making love with me. I wonder if there's another woman. I'm not attractive to him anymore. Right there. Right there. So, I mean, I've seen this for so many years. So one thing you need to know that every woman should know about men is most men do not know how to deal with the vulnerability, so not even know how to talk about it. Now, my website, arnoldtherapy.com, I have a book, The 22 Hardest Things to Say in a Relationship. And a lot of those, it's hard for women to say, but it's even harder for men to say that. Okay. Now let's talk about sexuality, what you need to know. This is, I know nobody's told you these things. I'm going to tell you about the sexuality of men. And, I mean, there are women who think all men are cheaters, and it's not true, but we go make a distinction here in a minute. Okay. So I'm making a distinction between a male and a man. A male means he has the male genitalia, and the only thing that makes a male into a man is honor. We have a whole system of honor, the 4 commandments of honor, the bridge, the supremacy of honor code. the pledge to be a disciple of honor. So my whole system of psychology revolves around becoming honorable. Very therapeutic, very extensive. Many videos on it, books, and all my lectures I've covered these materials. Now, so I'm going to talk to you about males, and then I'm going to talk to you about men. Now, I like to bring up the cow study because it's very true about the male human species as well. So in a cow study, if you have a bull, you bring in a cow that's in heat, and you bring them together, he mounts her. No surprise. Now, you bring that same cow the next day, he will not mount her. You bring another cow, a new cow in heat, he'll mount her. So you see from this study that there is within the survival instinct for the DNA to survive in the male, it's not man, so the male psyche is to spread that seed for the survival of his seed, for his DNA. Two main drives in terms of the material, physical reality are survival and reproduction. And reproduction is a type of survival. It's the survival of the DNA. Two main drives in the material, physical world for all animals, including the human, because the male, so it's the male animal, and then we have a man, which goes beyond that. Survival, reproduction. So every male has that. Every normal male has that. He may or may not be aware of it. Usually, or might be repressing it, but it's in the DNA. The survival of his DNA. It's in his DNA to be that way. That's that. And most women don't know that. So what that means is, if there wasn't any understanding what it is to be a man or straight, he'll want to copulate with any woman he finds attractive. If he was unrestrained, that would be normal for him as a male. Now, a man, the only thing that makes a male into a man is honor. If he doesn't have honor, that's what he'll do. If you think men are cheaters, it's not true. Males, if they're not men, if they can get away with it, many will cheat. Because they're just governed by that reproductive force, which is extremely powerful, extremely powerful. That's why the human species we keep growing with more and more people on this earth, because that's really strong, very powerful force. So the idea, there are women, and we had one person, as I say, if only 5% of the men are good, one as low as that, in the study that Tracy did, and with myself, it was 10, but as low as 10% that women felt were good. So if a man is honorable, he still is a male, but he will be disciplined and will refrain from pursuing other women. If you're his woman, he's not going to pursue other women. He just won't do it. As a man, he won't. But he is a male as well. He is a male, but he's not going to do anything. But he has these things going on. Normal male. Normal heterosexual male. Got this going on. So male, and then the man. Now, what you want to be telling your church, you want to be showing, you want to have a legacy of honor for yourself, to follow the commandments of honor, the bridge and the honor teachings that I'm bringing to you. And you can find aspects in your, whatever religious path, whatever spiritual path you follow, you'll find, because this is basically scripturally inspired. In terms of the honor movement, I say the founder is the Holy Spirit. I'm the initiator, and Tracy's the sustainer. So that's the story of what's going on. but you can trust a man because he's honorable. So that needs to be part of the parenting. So it's the obligation of parents to have a legacy of honor to their sons and daughters, so your sons and daughters are honorable. And the main way to be honorable is by you being honorable. And then you can also, of course, you want to teach the principles to your children. And let me tell you this, bringing the children to the church, bringing them to synagogue, the mosque, whatever the religious group it is, it's not clear that the fidelity is a higher rate there. It's not clear. There really needs to be a focus that on certain principles for this to happen. I don't, for the most part, the rate of divorce in religious people, whatever the religion is pretty comparable to the population at large. So the teachings in all the religions, beautiful teachings, beautiful, but in terms of internalizing it, that's why we only have 4 commandments of honor, one bridge. Right? The bridge is what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do. Where honor becomes the main factor in life for all decision-making. What's the honorable thing to think, say, and do? So somebody who's following the way of honor is not seeking happiness anymore, not even seeking peace, seeking honor, because honor is the foundation of true happiness and true peace. You can't have true happiness or true peace without being honorable. You can have fun, I wouldn't call that happiness. You can have a little relaxation, I wouldn't call that true peace. But in order to have true happiness, true peace, you must follow the way of honor. Now, everybody's very busy, got a lot of things coming at you all the time with bills and transportation and dealing with your employers and the stresses at work. If you go, you're reading the scriptures, or you go to religious meetings once, twice, 3 times a week, whatever. But they're so varied. Each time there's a new lesson. And all of them are good and powerful and beautiful and inspiring. But the message gets lost. Let's use Christianity, for example. When Jesus was asked, Master, what are the main teachings that you bring? He said, all the laws of the prophets hang on these. To love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, all thy mind, and all thy strength. To do unto others as you have others do unto you. And I bring you a new commandment, to love one another as I have loved you. As you follow my commandments, then the Father who sent me will dwell within your heart. As you follow my commandments, that's how you show your love for me. Judge not, lest you be judged. Forgive, that you be forgiven. That's the essence of Christianity. But the Bible is a lot bigger than that. There's so many things you could be studying about rapture and end of the world type of prophecies, a million things you can get into. There's so many, every facet. But what happens, nobody's living that. Those 3 commandments that he talked about gets lost because there's so many other wonderful things. But the foundation, and I'm not saying they're the most important things in Christianity. Not me, just a guy. Jesus Christ himself said it. So, and I don't care what the religion is, that's what happens. People lose track of the fundamentals, and that's why they'll have affairs or cheat and do whatever they're going to do. And so I'm just a sinner. I'm not perfect, but I'm saved. That's kind of where that goes. And that's true, but you can do better than you're doing. It's just because you're not perfect. You can certainly do a lot better. And so focusing on these 4 principles that are repeated 3 times a day. The 4 commandments of honor: I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship. They're one of 2, depends if somebody believes in God or not. God, your wish is my only wish for those who believe, such as myself. Or I seek always to serve my highest values. Now, for this to really work and really walk the way of honor for yourself, for your children, for your loved ones, you need to commit your life to repeating this 3 times a day for the rest of your life and become a disciple of honor. So that people take this pledge. As a disciple of honor, I pledge myself for all the days of my life to the 4 commandments of honor, and I'll teach them to those I love. I'll repeat them every morning, afternoon, and evening, and I'll listen to myself recite them. Now is a lifetime commitment. Now we're focusing on a very simple system and not trying to talk anybody into this. Everybody already believes in these commandments of honor. I call them commandments because we're commanding the honor that's already within us to rise in consciousness in terms of thought, words, and action. That's why I call them commandments. They're not affirmations, they're not mantras, they're actual commandments, self-commandments. Then if somebody wants to go to even higher levels of honor, they can take the pledge to be a devotee of honor or to repeat the supremacy of honor code on a daily basis, which is this: honor before pride, honor before anger, honor before sex. There you have it. Honor before sex, honor before money, honor before fear, honor before everything, honor before life itself. It's not just as a statement of your priorities. And when people take the pledge to be a devotee of honor, they're agreeing to repeat that once a day for a lifetime. The pledge goes this way: as a devotee of honor, I pledge myself for all days of my life to the supremacy of honor code, and I'll bring it to the world for a more just society. The person just goes commandments of honor and the bridge, you go extremely far. And then the supremacy of honor code will take you even further. So this lays the foundation for true happiness, peace, greater resiliency. You can still become depressed, anxious, miserable, but you'll come back a lot faster. You'll achieve much more wisdom. You'll have a life of less regret. But I always tell my people, I'm not telling you you're not going to be anxious or depressed, because things happen in life that are going to trigger you, but you'll come back a lot faster. So this is the path that you need to follow. No matter how wonderful your scripture is, it's extremely powerful. It's much more powerful than what I just gave you. But you're not really focused on one thing. So this gives you a way. All I've done was make it psyche available, just like certain food supplements and foods are bioavailable. Become very assimilatable within your body at a cellular level. This is psyche available, where your psyche absorbs it. And by doing it 3 times a day, the repetition is preparation for application. So there you have it, the male versus the man. So 2 things that every woman should know about men. 1, in addition to being men, well, it's actually 3 things. In addition to being men, they are males. And only honor makes them men. You have to know. So when people say, oh, you can't trust them, they're all no good, all they want is sex. Well, yeah, it's true. Men want sex. No question about it. If it wasn't a desperate thing for men to have that, women would have stayed in their caves, men in their caves, but near the species. It just drives the keeping the earth populated, reproducing ourselves. So we need to know is a distinction between a male and a man. A man will not, he'll treat you well. He'll treat you fairly, lovingly, supportive, and be faithful and loyal to you. Now, how many true men are there in the world? Find a really honorable man. There's some good men around. A lot of people will sell their honor for money and sex, so just across the board, and that includes women as well for those 2. But men particularly driven by this. So males are. So you want to be able to know, what you need to know about all men is that they're not just men. There are very few really true men, but they're all males. All of us are males. You need to know that. And I told you what goes on with the male, the cow study. That, in terms of sexuality, that tells you about the male. In terms of being a man, honor tells the story about that. So if you don't already have a man in your life, in addition to having the right chemistry, the right looks, stability, character is important, and finding an honorable man. And of course, to find an honorable man, it really helps a lot if you're an honorable woman. And then in terms of raising your children, you want to have a legacy of honor there so that they grow up, not having to go through all these traumas. man versus male. You want to know that. Number two, it's very difficult for men at this point in our history to deal with vulnerability. We've come a long way with it. The good news is it became all right for men to have feelings. It sounds crazy. I was born in 1941. When I grew up in the 50s, it was not okay for a man to have feelings. It was not okay for a man to cry. It wasn't for a man to feel anything other than just looking strong. I emphasize the word looking because we're not strong, just looking strong. Just really get stoic. What we used to call toughing it out. Men would die a lot younger than women. It wasn't healthy. And again, I want to emphasize the appearance of strength. It wasn't real strength. So the difficulty of males, and men too, but even more so with males. A man with an honorable person has to be honest with himself. To be honest with you, I was jealous. To be honest with you, I felt hurt. He's more likely to go there because of honor demands that self-reflection, self-honesty. So dealing with vulnerability is difficult for a man, or for a male, especially for a male, it's even tougher. And then the sexuality issue of male versus man. That's what every woman needs to know. I have 7 children. I have 5 daughters. I never told any of them. I didn't know it. Now the knowledge is out. Start telling your daughters. Start telling your sons as well. It's out. I really didn't know it when I was younger. My girls turned out pretty well, but a lot of that's, I'm very fortunate that way. But now you with this knowledge, you'll be able to help a lot of people. And I'm hoping a lot of people will be able to have access to this video to help them with this, what every woman should know about men. The full title could have been what every woman should know about men and males, but I kept it short. Now, I'm going to open it up and just get some feedback from our female audience. Kimberly, what are your thoughts?
I actually want to hear what everyone else has to say before me, because I'm a little confused on the topic.
Okay.
Just because I guess I have a different thought process. So I just want to know, just to kind of,
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tracy, you did that wonderful study with 25 women. What are your thoughts, Tracy?
I was, I guess, a little surprised at some of the percentages, but
What surprised you?
I guess, with the average being about 47%, to me, I felt like, wow, some of these women think it's about 70%, which is good. I mean, it's your perspective. Some of them ask me, well, what do you define as a good man? I said, what do you define? You don't have to tell me, but what do you define? Because my perspective could be different from yours.
Yes.
I said that I'm basing my percentage on males throughout my life, starting from like my relatives, my brothers, generalized people I meet at the store, relationships that I've had. I mean, just really, really generalizing from that point of view. And my percentage, I said 45%.
Are you right on the average there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, yeah.
But I was surprised because one person said 80%
Yes.
of men, and the lowest that I got was 5%.
Yeah, that person's had some bad experiences with males, that's for sure.
And the last person that I interviewed, that I asked this question, was a 70-year-old woman who, she was the oldest person, but she said 25%.
25% are good guys. Yeah, for me, the lowest was 10%. I had two women saying 10% are good guys. The highest was 75%. Yeah, so it's close to the numbers you had. Yeah.
So when I flip it around, because there was 4 males that decided to participate. This I did not include theirs in the statistic, but one male was 44, and I believe him to be an honorable man. He said 70% of men are good, and then a 17-year-old who I presume to be an honorable young man. He gets good grades and he's very respectable. He said about 55% of men are good. On another scale, there was these 2 other males who I think if they were to admit openly that they have not been the most honorable men, one of them said only 1% of men are actually good, and the other one said only 7% of men are good. And I think this has to do with who you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with other men who are not honorable, you're going to think like, man, no men are good men. But if you surround yourself with men who are more honorable, you're going to think, you know what? There's a lot of good men. So it really depends on like your upbringing and who you surround yourself with.
Well, yeah, you know, but yes, and the bottom line is that on the average, women think 55% of males are not good guys. 55%, over half the male gender are not good guys. I'm not saying it's true or not true, and we haven't even defined it. But the thought, and we have some people in our audience right now who think it's 90% are not good guys, and I can't comment and say, yeah, that's right. I don't have the data, but on the average, if you look at 45% between our 2 studies, that feel that 45% are good guys. But I want to focus on that. That's 55%. Over half the men or half the males that women will meet are not good guys. Now, you can meet somebody, you don't know whether he's honorable. The guy could be whatever. He could be, totally respectable looking in every way, professionally, religiously, whatever, you name it. No, that doesn't mean he's going to be honorable. You don't know when that's put in front of him, the sexual opportunity or the financial opportunity, and the wrongdoing that will happen. There's a big difference between appearances and reality. There really is. There really is. Now, some women came to the conclusion that they don't trust anybody until he proves himself. And then some women say, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt until they show me otherwise. Whatever. But I can only tell you this. You cannot go by the appearance. I can tell you that. So if you're single and you're looking for an honorable man, that takes time. I mean, you don't know. You don't know. You have a lot of people who are big God talkers that do all kinds of things. All kinds of things. People who are not God talkers who do all kinds of things. You just don't know. There's the rhetoric. Everybody's got good rhetoric. Oh, are you an honorable man? Oh, yeah, I'm an honorable man. Are you a good guy? I'm a good guy. I'm a great guy. I mean, are you faithful? I'm very faithful. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter what they're saying. And I'm not saying they're lying. I'm just saying, all right, that's a good start. He's at least saying these things, but what's he really doing?
Can I interject?
Yeah, please.
So I was also thinking about a man could, or a woman, but a man could appear honorable, hardworking, and, all of the above, but they might be disrespectful to people. They might not be, they can be like, oh yeah, he seems like a good guy. He's clean cut and this, that, and the other, but he's not respectful toward others. He's rude. He thinks he's like kind of self-righteous. But I think that if it was switched, I think that men would give women a lower score.
That's another study, but maybe so. But all I could say in terms of practical advice, you really got to get to know somebody. I mean, you know right away the chemistry is good. You like the personality, the talk. You know, you like that. You like the way he looks physically. You feel attracted, and that's good. You need that attraction. That's very necessary. But whether that person's truly honorable or not takes a while. That takes really getting to know the person's character. And really, that at least needs to be told to your children. The character matters a lot. Nobody told me character matters a lot in choosing a woman. I don't know if anybody told young women when they're growing up, character matters a lot. You want good looking, makes a good living, hardworking, but character matters. You want an honorable man. I think it's a very, very, very small percentage of women that's ever heard something like that. And I'm not saying that you can't find an honorable man. I'm just saying first appearances don't mean anything. I'm 81. I'm going 82 years old. I'm not saying you can't trust anybody. I'm a very trusting person myself. But it does take time. There's no way around it. It's going to take time to know the person's character. And if you get too attached to them before you know that, then when you start seeing the cracks and the flaws of the character, and you see some really serious ones, you're too attached to even think straight about it. You're too involved. It'd be difficult anytime you let yourself get that involved, romantic involved. So it's something to take into account. I'm not prescribing to you anything other than teaching yourself and your daughters that character matters and you want an honorable man. And to really attract an honorable man, you need to be an honorable woman. That helps with the attraction to that. Stacy, anything you want? Thanks for that, Tracy. Stacy, anything you want to say or ask?
Yeah, I mean that was really valuable, and Tracy too. Just conducting the study is so interesting, and I agree with you. I feel like if we did one and flipped it, that men would likely come in at a lower percentage. I was on the higher end. I gave the feedback of 65 to 75% are good men. And I think that's just accumulation over my life and different experiences. And even though some of them have been so horrific and violent and toxic and really scarring to me as a person, there is a level of compassion that I've had to, for my own healing, come to a place of understanding where people like that, for quote unquote, not good guys, are coming from, and if I were to look deep at their story, right, I can see where maybe the roots of this evilness embedded it in their soul, and therefore they become that. So, but I also know a lot of good men, and I know a lot of good men who've been hurt by some really bad women too, so I try to, I guess, in just life, I want to believe there's more good than bad, right? Studies show, that's interesting though, that might not be the case or the perception, but what is perception? I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's so interesting. This was very interesting.
Well, Stacey, I really appreciate your feedback. Always, I always do. I like to see the good in people. I mean, my wife says, well, you like everybody, and you trust everybody. She thinks I'm a sucker. My wife ended up trusting no one. That's the other side. She's cautious, which is good, but really they're not trusting. And based on a lot of her experiences with people. So I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, trust. Have I been exploited by it or disappointed or betrayed? Yes, I have. Has that destroyed me? No, I just got stronger from it. I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm really okay with the betrayals, disappointments. I'm truly okay with it. But I follow the way of honor. So I have a way of working with that in a way that leads to wisdom and resiliency. Doesn't mean I don't suffer. When I go through it, I do suffer. So I give that trust. But, you know, I don't have to deal with the sexuality of men. A woman does. And again, you have to know, the reason I didn't say the study, well, I didn't say what percentage of your men do you think are good men. I didn't say that. I used the word guys because I didn't want to have to lay out all the distinctions. What percentage of guys do you think are good guys? Because I, in my mind, was really asking the question, what percentage of males do you think are truly men? But the way I got at it indirectly was, what percentage of guys do you think are good guys? And I couldn't give you a percentage of males who are truly men. I couldn't give you a percentage. I don't think it's really high. I mean, to be truly a true man, and you have a lot of, you can have guys who are working hard to support their family, sacrificing a lot. I mean, I know people like this, and my patients, great guys. For me as a male, I like them. But you find out, well, this one cheated. So you're dealing, see, I just deal with them as I have to deal with the sexuality. As man to man, I have to deal with that. You betray me. I mean, whatever you're doing sexually is not a betrayal of me. But you as women, I mean, that's huge. I mean, you have to be able to trust your man, and your man has to be able to trust you. There, you could have a guy who's virtuous in every way, but situation's right, there he goes. Particularly if a woman's inviting him in some way. So that area, that's why, and now that doesn't mean he's not a good guy in other ways. But in terms of, and I tell people, if they find their spouse cheats, I'm very, very pro-marriage, very pro-family, totally. But I tell women, if they find, and I say the same thing to men about their women, say, if you found your man cheating on you, divorce him. A lot of times easier said than done. And why do I tell them that? I think it's best for the woman to forgive him, but I know for a fact she's never going to trust him. She's not going to trust her. So it's not fair to you and the male in your life. You're never going to trust him. You're going to drive him crazy. Or where were you? Is that lipstick on your collar? Let me see your phone. How come you got back so late? Why did it take you 2 hours to get here when it's a half-hour drive? I mean, it's going to go on like that. You're not going to trust him. You drive yourself crazy and drive him crazy. And understandably so. And he's going to get sick and tired of hearing all this stuff. But in the meantime, he really co-created this big time. Like 95% he co-created. So a woman can't feel secure. So you'll never feel secure and you never trust them. It's a mercy. So people say, well, I stay together for the children. Well, kids are picking up something's really messed up here. This is what marriage is. It's awful. The undercurrent's awful. So I strongly advocate looking towards divorce. And I'm really against divorce. But in this situation, I think it's a mercy to your husband, to your boyfriend, and to yourself. And ultimately to the children, if there are children involved. In that circumstance. Not because you don't forgive him, but because you're never going to trust him. That's serious. One has to do with something happened in the past. It's over with. The other has to do with the future. He did that in the past, you forgive him for the past, but you're not going to trust him in the future. That's the issue, really. And again, he could be a great guy, if you knew him as a friend and you're co-parenting together, that might work out. But for him being your man, he belongs to you and you belong to him, he wasn't there yet. Maybe the next woman in his life, they'll have that together and go the way of honor. Okay, now, let's see who else we have here. Oh, Bernice, okay. Bernice, what are your thoughts and questions?
I find this very interesting, and I like how you opened the discussion up for us to answer previously before the video. And I'm, true to my kind of fashion, I didn't give like an exact number because I feel like it is about like an individual and, who you surround yourself in your environment. And, it's not super clean cut. So my answer was like,
it's not.
It depends on like situations, who you're around, the culture, different things in your environment. So I think it just depends. But I found that data really interesting that Tracy brought forward. I was like intrigued. I was like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, I wanted to know more. I was like, who was asked and, what was the percent, and, what was the population and what are their backgrounds? Where do they come from? But,
well, Tracy can answer that for you if you like.
yeah, that would be amazing. That's really cool. She's doing her own like research. But what I took away from it, my takeaway from the discussion is, there is a distinguishment between males and men. And I've noticed that it's, apparent, like when someone is evolved enough to be a man and, have honor. But what I feel we can do as women is, I think you touched on it for a moment, was that we have control over our honor. And, although men may try to like take, advantage or, give into their male, biology, I feel like we as women just have to stand in our honor and show them or let them know what we are willing to accept.
Well, that's very true. Very, very, very true. Female has a lot of control over what happens. I mean, the male is always typically ready to go. And really a lot of control came from the female. What I'm advocating is men to have bring that control over themselves, and to be governed by the commandments of honor and the way of honor. But Tracy, maybe you can address the points that Bernice brought up about telling more about the population you interviewed.
Sure. The population I interviewed, it involved different races. So there was African American, there were many Hispanics, there were Caucasians, and there was one Middle Eastern woman even, and that's pretty much the range. As far as age range, it ranged from 35. A lot of the women were, I would say, in their 50s. Yeah, a lot of the women I would say were in the 50s or mid to late 40s and in their 50s.
What were their backgrounds? Or like is this like pulled from your like how do I word this? Like your contacts, like people you know?
These are people that actually I didn't know. I was walking around and with a piece of paper and the phone in my hand, so I was reading exactly because I didn't want to say men. I said just like he was talking about, because I wanted to make sure that was clear, and they kept asking me, well, what is the criteria? And I said, it's whatever you think a guy stands, a good guy means. Because I want to set some kind of a bar, because what if my idea of a good guy is not someone else's idea of a good guy?
Yeah, you're not going to lay it out for them. Like, it's like your criteria, your definition.
And you met them at school, Tracy? Is that where you met them?
Yeah, at school, at a high school.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and some of them were teachers, some of them were secretaries. It was a split political backgrounds as well. So it was like a really good of
diverse.
Yeah, it was a really good mix of, and some of the men want to answer, but I said this is only for women. And then after, I would turn around and ask them, but if you were to say, what would you say, being a man, what would you say for the percentage of guys are good guys? Because one man came in and he said, I have 6 daughters and 2 sons, and I grew up all around women. And he said that the percentage was probably about 40% maybe of guys are actually good guys.
That's pretty close to the average. I think it was a great study. Same with myself. Most of the people I talked to, the 5 to 7, maybe about 7 people, mostly Latinas, probably average age, maybe 40. It was about 40%. They thought 40% were good guys. But what I want to come to on this, regardless how we define it, still the approach of those 4 points that I made apply no matter how you're defining it. You can't go wrong following those points that I made. The 4 things that every woman should know stand regardless of how you define that a good guy or not. Right? Those points stand. I think for a lot of women, it really had to do with fidelity, but it wasn't specified. It just wasn't specified. That's why I used the word guy. We didn't go into what it was. And so in terms of a study, you probably need to be broken down. What percentage of guys do you think stay faithful to their relationship? What percentage of the guys would you consider hardworking? You'd have to break it down for a really in-depth study. The point is this, though. This is a very interesting thing that we can say. It appears that women are not going to trust most men. I mean, that's one implication of this study. Women are not going to trust most men. 55% are not considered good guys. Not a good guy. I mean, you meet a guy, more inclined to think, well, this is not a good guy. I'm not going to trust him. Unless he shows me otherwise. I think that's one of the takeaways, without even defining it, without going into more details. There's a lot of suspicions about guys from women. A lot of suspicion, well-founded, but it's really divisive what's happened. When you then be suspicious of 55% of the population of males, it's a lot. And I'm not sure what's created that, because there's been a lot of betrayal. But that looks like the reality. That looks like one of the takeaways. Yeah, Kimberly.
Okay, so I think I'm ready to speak.
Yeah, and I know your attitude about this, so let's share it.
Yes, yeah. So, so I'm one of the ones that said 10%.
I know. Yep.
Like, a little confused, because it just, I guess maybe by experiences, but it's just kind of weird. It's just like the men that I've been with, right? From different backgrounds too. They've all come to me with, they've been hurt, and they've been with women that have taken advantage of them, that they wanted them to pay for everything, and that, like all this of that, I make the full package, and I don't know what, and then they turn around and do the same thing to me. So that's always been very confusing to me. I'm like, okay, I'm like here saying, yeah, well, I would never do that because I have a lot of uncles, and they're like, I don't like gold digging girl or what, whatever other names you would call them. But and I would be like, I grew up kind of thinking like, I don't want to be that type of girl. I want to be able to, hey, let's go half on half. Let's help each other. And they've always just done that. So it's just for me, it's very hard to really understand and get away from that. And another thing, so at work, there's different types. I mean, I work with so many men at work. And there's like two different types of men, almost three, but we'll get to that in a bit. Two different types of men. One would be like, oh yeah, my wife, she let herself go. I'm really not attracted, but I have to be with her and all this vulgar stuff that they were saying. And then you're talking about some men that they don't say anything, that they're very respectful, whatever. There's this one man in particular that was very, and I think I talked to you about him, that he was the one that wouldn't say anything about his wife, whatever. And one time I asked him, I was like, you really have a lot of respect for your wife, and I appreciate that because he's not like with those guys talking crap about their wives. And he would be like, well, my wife has done a lot for me. She put me through some school. She used to support me. She raised my kid, put her through college, whatever. Like, she was a great woman. And I was like, wow, like, that is amazing that you have so much respect for that, for your wife. But now, that was that one guy that's been trying to sleep with me for the past 10 years.
Yep, there you go.
When you really think about like, wow, finally there's someone, and then that happens, it's like, dude,
Well, that's the point.
But I'm just, you know what I mean? It's just, I hear it all around. And it's not that I want to surround myself, but that's where I work. And you hear them just, and it's just, it gets to me a lot with the men I've been with, and with all the men I work, almost like all of them are always either like flirting or trying to sleep with other girls or saying stuff, and it's just like, I don't know. It's too much.
It's those. That's the male, and now that is a normal male. They're not men. They're not governed by honor. That's a normal male. Every male has those kind of dynamics. The cow. The bull will mount that cow and heat once. You bring a second time, he doesn't want to mount her. Bring a new one, a fresh one, he'll mount her because to spread that seed, that's operating. But a man can discipline himself and go beyond that. So, but that's what I was saying. People could talk whatever, and then you don't know their character. And then you found out his character. He starts hitting on you. Even though somebody at first you go, wow, I respect. He's so respectful. This is a true man. And then you find out, here he is hitting on you, and for 10 years coming after you. So I'm saying, but you did find out his characters. It took a while. How long did you know him before you understood that in his character?
Like a year.
Oh, it took you a year. Okay, it took him a year. You worked with him.
Like 5-7 months actually. After that, he just seemed a little kind of like, okay. I'm like, but it's just me, and I just don't like men, so maybe I'm overthinking things, and then that's when he becomes more flirtation, and more. And I'm like, oh, of course, men.
Well, yeah, there you have it. So it took about 7 months. It took a while. Now, that's what I'm saying. It takes a while to know the character of the man you're interested in. In this case, you weren't interested in, but it was somebody you worked with, and you admired him, respected him for the kind of what you thought was a man. It takes time. In this case, it took 5 months. It wasn't a dating situation, but you're looking at, it's highly unlikely you'll get an idea of a guy's character in less than 6 months. I mean, could take years. But to the extent
I work with them too.
That's why you're around them a lot.
It was 8 hours every day.
Yeah, you're around them a lot. So this is the issue. Almost everybody is projecting that they're better people than they are. It's a matter of the projection of a certain persona. So it takes a while. If you really get to know yourself, the more you know yourself, you'll get the red flags. You'll pick this up. You're not looking for perfection. No such thing as perfect, but certainly you want honorable with whatever flaws your man has. But I'm really glad you brought that up. And again, I mean, yours was only thinking 10% are good guys, but at least there's 10%. I mean, it's not like all men are. all men are dogs. Someone says, oh, they're all dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say this: all males are dogs.
Yeah.
All males are
Yeah.
dogs, but there are men, so they can restrain that. I mean, if you see dogs, and you have a leash on a dog, and someone's walking by the dog, the first thing they'll do is go smell each other's genitals. I mean, they'll go up. That's what they want to do. So there's that reproduction. I mean, survival, reproduction. That's what's happening.
Well, doctor.
Yeah.
Real quick, I was a little confused at the beginning because I know you said that what is a good man for you, and I'm like, well, as long as he's what were you saying? As long as he's faithful, he's not abusive.
Well, here's what qualify most as good guys. Doesn't mean you're going to be in love with him. He's working hard. He's faithful, loyal to you and the family. And he's not. He doesn't have any substance abuse issues. He's not drunk. He's not high on cocaine or meth. Those guys would come under the category you'd call them, well, good guys. Doesn't mean you're even going to like them, but those people. So he's a good guy. Look, he takes care of the kids. He's faithful to his wife. Doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. Doesn't chase women. He's a good guy. Doesn't mean he's for you, but he's a good guy. So he would be that percentage. Say he's a good guy. Now, maybe you don't like his looks. He's got too much of a belly. You don't like the way his hair is. He's getting bald. Whatever. Or you don't like. He has a bad odor about him. Whatever it is.
Can I say something
Yeah.
real quick? Real quick. Okay, so my husband, my ex-husband, excuse me. I guess I would consider him a good guy. I always thought he was a piece of crap, but then again, because of what I've been through with him. But I don't think he ever cheated on me. I mean, not that I found out, but I don't think he ever cheated on me. He wasn't abusive. He was a nice guy. That's why my family loved him. He just was like a little kid. I had to take care of him because, like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you throw out the trash? Did you do this? Did you do that? He never had money. He would but he was a good guy. He would be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I know I forgot. Oh, I'm sorry. I did this. Even though it's sorry. And I always thought it's me just being too hard on him. But then after so many years, I'm like, I need to get out of that. Like, he's just a little kid. He can't think for himself. He can't fend for himself. He doesn't know how to manage his time. He doesn't want to, he doesn't have goals or ambition, nothing. So, but I guess for a long time, I did say, oh my gosh, he was a freaking piece of shit because of like the stress that he would put me under. But he wasn't a bad guy. He was a good guy. He just didn't have a brain.
Yeah.
Or something.
So
Sorry,
well, yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm getting. It doesn't mean he's for you, but let's go back to the findings again. So women, on the average, think that 45% of the guys are good guys. And that 55% don't even do that. That they're flawed on one of those things: alcoholics, drug addicts, womanizers, cheaters. No ambition, not working. What violates one of those good guy things. So it's not a super high standard to be a good guy, but yet, on the average, women think that 55% of guys are not good guys, and those are the basics. Guy could be handsome, he could be charming, doesn't make him a good guy at all. Now, it's good. You want a guy that you feel attracted to, is handsome, charming. You want that, but doesn't make him a good guy, and it doesn't make him a man either. Does not make him a man. That's another level. So every woman should be aware of these distinctions that I've made, the 4 distinctions. Yeah. Now, there's a young lady here. Is there anything you'd want to say or ask?
I'm just kind of listening in, and my perspective in life, it's a little different. I was raised with a father who, parents are divorced, mom's remarried to a wonderful man. I mean, he's amazing. But my dad is the one that raised me, and he was a little chaotic. He was a man, and he was honorable when he sobered up. And when I was a teenager, he told me, never trust a guy. No matter what, they always want to get in your pants. That's like what you said, like human nature, like
No, that's the male. Every male would want to get in any attractive woman's pants. Absolutely, that's the male.
so learning that from probably the 6th grade is when he had the conversation with me, and being raised that way, I kind of didn't trust all guys in general. But now, as the decades have gone on, and I feel like every decade when I grow older, I change as a person. And so now I'm looking for something in a partner that is equal to me and where I'm at, my mindset now. So I have, yeah, maybe there's a lot of scumbag guys out there who aren't the right fit for you because they don't match your mindset. So it's finding that person who matches your mindset and matches you. And I think when you love yourself, you'll find somebody who loves you too.
Well, you can find a guy. I mean, a lot of cheaters will claim they love their wives. I love my wife, but the male is very powerful in him. He's not really a man. Doesn't mean.
What happens when, say, the wife becomes the nagging wife who's always like, you didn't do the after I cooked all the
He could say, I'm not appreciated. I work hard. My wife doesn't appreciate, doesn't cook for me, doesn't do anything with me.
I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's a good wife. I mean, if he wants to divorce her and then have another woman, that's up to him. But being married and doing that, well, I'm not going to fault him. I'm no one to judge him, that's for sure. But there are always these circumstances. I mean, a lot of times when people cheat, they have a reason. When cheating and sexuality, they always have a reason. My wife was this. In fact, she was only giving me sex once a month. I just, as a male, that wasn't enough for me. Always something.
And women probably feel ignored by their husbands, and they have those same, like...
Yeah, I know many. I know cases where these guys were driving truck, no life, worked all day, 12-hour days, exhausted, come home, watch the TV, eat, go to sleep, same thing the next day. And their wives get to feel abandoned. The family doesn't appreciate what he's doing. They feel abandoned by him. He's never there, an absentee husband and father. And the wife, a number of cases where the wife ended up cheating. I mean, just she needed attention, she needed some love. And the guy's killing himself for the family, but wasn't appreciated, and that happened. So, again, there's always all these complexities, but the distinctions stand. Males, what you need to know about males that don't know how to deal with the vulnerability for the most part. There's a difference between a male and a man, and a male wants to do what he's going to do as a male, and a man will restrain himself from that. And then the other points that I brought up about the points that every woman needs to know about guys. So that stands, and then also the necessity to look for character, to be honorable and look for honor. If you don't have a man, you want to be able to say, if you could go to an app, I would put in looking for a genuine, deep, honorable man. Doesn't mean he's going to be those things, but at least you're able to articulate this is what you want. And then you can teach your daughters this is what you want. Somebody who's genuine, deep, and honorable. And then, of course, the chemistry has to be there. So we've looked in, and then the other point was that the main part of the study is not that women see 45% of the guys as good guys, but that women see 55% of the guys as not good guys. There's a lot of mistrust going on, a whole lot of mistrust. And I'm not saying that women are wrong for that. I'm not saying that at all. This is just the state of affairs. This is where we're at. Now, we have the good fortune to have Jay here. Jay, what are your thoughts about what you've heard?
Well, Doctor, everything that you said has been so true, and everything that the ladies, their perspective. You know, we're born male. We're taught to become a man. You know, there's a huge difference, as you alluded to earlier, between a male, a guy, and a man, a true man. You know, if you live with honor, you can teach yourself. But so much of it is society teaches us how to become better people, not just better men, but better people. I personally think that the 45% of being good guys is generous. I mean, me being a guy, sitting around with my friends who appear to be good people, good men, they're all talk, not they all, but a higher percentage talks about doing this and doing that, which I don't consider honorable. So I think it's really probably more like 30% of men are good men. And there's quite a difference of being a good guy to your buddies and a good guy to your partner. There's a huge difference.
Huge difference. As a matter of fact, Jay, always your good points. As a matter of fact, born in this country, a real man has a lot of women. A real man can beat up, won't put up with anything. Will punch you in the face if he feels insulted. So the concept that you see in the media that I grew up with is still around. He has a lot of women. A real man could handle a lot of women. Oh, you had her. Oh, that's awesome. You slept with her. Oh my God, you lucky dog. And so the whole thing is actually, and then that guy said, "What to you?" And then you hit him. Oh, good for you. You knocked him out. Oh, that's awesome. You knocked that sucker out. So that sex and violence, without education, that's what people define as men, and you know that, Jay.
And those aren't real men. Those are men.
No, but that's actually the opposite of what a real man is.
You got to lose
to be able to be highly sexual with different women, and be tough, handle yourself, be able to knock guys out, take them on, whatever. In fact, if you could knock out 2 guys, you're even a greater man. You knock out 3 or more guys you can beat up at one time. That's even better. Now, certainly there's a time where you have to fight. There's no doubt about that, to protect somebody. Absolutely. But this goes beyond that. This could be an insult, hitting somebody over something stupid he said or whatever, or he cut you off at the light or something, whatever. So you have to realize that the upbringing was pretty animalistic. If you leave it to just the guys, a locker room, I mean, that's what goes on. And until we change the culture on that, which really has to get into the schools and into parenting, that's going to continue. That's going to continue. And if it continues, then you're going to have where women don't trust 55% of the males. It's not a good situation. Any other comments or questions before we bring this to close? It's been wonderful what everyone's saying. Your contribution, just wonderful.
I do want to jump in real quick. I love, Jay, that you shared and gave your male perspective also, with the doctor, because it's so helpful to hear that. And I do like how you said, society kind of tells you how to be a man, but really it's you that makes the choice to become a man. And I want to believe that's true. It's a choice of the male to become a man and live with honor. Just like for me, right? When all doors close and nobody's looking, who am I?
That's right.
It's the truth. I mean, and I know who I am. I know that when my doors open or close, I'm the same person. But that's what I look for, And it's hard, though. It's hard. But you can't test people. I mean, and not to say I'm a very trusting person. I'm not. But I lived so many years being so mistrustful that and I'm still single. Guys, never been married. Okay, so that's not. I don't want to be too much of that either. I don't want to be a too much, rose-colored glasses, but somewhere in the middle. Which is funny that that's what the data shows. I had a good point. I know I'm going off on a tangent. Well, I guess I'll ask a question. So, as women, there's wonderful, beautiful women. All of you girls on here, by the way, are so lovely and such good feedback. It's really nice to hear. What would you, other than time, right? Other than us taking our time and carrying ourselves as women with honor and doing that whole thing, what is there any other way that we can, increase our spirit of discernment when we're, weeding through the whackers? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, this increase in the discernment. So, okay, ladies, anybody have any advice?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
Like, what are some of the things that you do when you're establishing a relationship and building trust with someone, to, other than like just sharp red flags that are screaming red, are there anything, any suggestions that you have that might help you see someone's character that might be hidden, or is, yeah.
Well, one fact would be, if you're with a guy, is he checking out other women? That's huge. That's huge. I mean, who knows what he's doing behind your back? But if he's doing it and you're seeing him check out other women while he's out on a date with you, or whatever, it's not a good sign. It doesn't mean he's not going to be. You can't come to a firm conclusion, but you're looking for signs. Does he check out other women?
That's huge.
Yeah. Kimberly.
One thing that I look at, and I feel like it has helped somewhat, I notice the way he treats his family, how respectful he is towards his mom, his brothers and sisters, how close he is with them. If he kind of like talks crap about his exes and goes on a rampage, and you're like, you're probably gonna do the same with me if we break up, or, I don't know. That's one thing that I look at a lot.
That's good too. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have? Those are great points, Kimberly. Anybody else have any points you want to share in response to Stacy's question?
I just wanted to touch on what Stacy said. Yeah, like all of us women, and even Jay, I really appreciate his input, and it's just so eye-opening to see the matter from other people's viewpoint and their experiences. But yeah, I think you guys are all great too, and great input. But what I think is super important, and you touched on it, Dr. Nerenberg, was time. Like, time will reveal, who a person really is.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and then paying attention to what you're seeing and not turning away from what is. You'll see a lot of good things. You want to pay attention to that, but some points are. Now, I'll tell you one thing that you could look at. This I'll give you a pointer. Look at the relationship of his parents. If they have a good marriage, that's a good sign. If the father really loves the mother and they have a good marriage, and the mother loves him, you see a good relationship. That means most likely he's had a good role model. There's no guarantee, but that's a good sign. The other thing is, look at the kind of man the father is. Most likely he'll be like him. Most likely. Sometimes they're more like the mother, but most likely he's going to be like the dad. He's going to look like the dad, most likely. And he's going to have, most likely, the personality and character of the dad. Most likely. In most cases, that's who the son becomes the father. So as a good rule of thumb, when you meet his parents, get to understand that relationship. We can even ask him, hey, tell me about your parents, what kind of relationship they have. That'll give you insight. It's not a surefire thing where you can make a definite conclusion, but just in terms of collecting your thoughts about this gentleman, that's important.
That's good.
Well, it's been certainly, I mean, educational, delightful, and inspiring to hear everybody's, I mean, amazing input. And then we'll have this video. I'll be sending it out, and hopefully this video can help a lot of women, and indirectly in a way for men, because when men understand what women or males understand why women are not trusting 55% of us, this could be a good eye opener for guys. So it's something good in one way for women, but it's really good for guys to say, oh, here are the issues. Here are the issues that you're going to have to deal with, and what you need to do to get past it. Well, again, it's been my pleasure and my privilege and my enjoyment to be here with you. I'm discussing what every woman should know about men.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity. From strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.